Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Variety Gaming Podcast. Welcome back. If you are a returning listener, today's featured game is Spore. That's right, it's going to be a sporing episode. And our recurring segment, it's actually our first recurring segment, technically, because it's the second time it's been on the show for us. Game of the season. We're checking in here at the beginning of August with our game of the season, the First Descendant. Hear about our progress and also some pretty big game updates as well later on in the episode. But first, we've got Spore, and I'm, of course, joined by my fellow co host, Rhaiu. Rhaiu, you are excited about this game, as am I. I mean, it's a throwback. Give us some info. What are we looking at with Spore?
All right, so as the title suggests, it is Spore. The developer is Maxis, publisher Electronic Arts. Description is be the architect of your own universe with Spore, an exciting single player adventure from single cell to galactic god. Evolve your creature in a universe of your own creations. It's rated E for everyone, only available on PC and Mac. I think this is our first game we're covering that's actively on Mac. So if you're interested in a throwback, this game was released September 4th, 2008. If you got a MacBook, go ahead and pick it up. It's a great time. Atrax, tell us a little bit about your experience in Spore this past week.
All right, so the game came out in 2008. I was 9. Actually, at this point, I was 10. But maybe even 11? No, 10. And I was so young kid, reloading the screen brought me right back. It was right back there. Obviously, I needed to up the resolution, but it supported 1920 by 1080, so it's got HD resolution. And the main menu screen is so unique. I don't really see games getting too creative with the menu screens in general. Now, I know that that's a lot of developing and work, but the main menu screen for Spore is just a galaxy, and it's like it has little planets on it. Those are all your save files. So you can start like you can click here, you start a new planet. On this little planet here, it's got like blue water and green soil, or you can click on a different one. It's got like red water and orange soil or something weird. Like, so there's all these different worlds that you can start off with, and you get to pick your difficulty later on. But I just think that's so clever that the main menu screen, there's no like, welcome to Spore, blah, blah, blah. It's just like you load in EA and then boom, you're hit with the load into whatever world you want. Or you can go to the creator menu. There's also the create tab right there in the main menu. And I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about this before even getting into the game, because I think I had a lot of fun just playing the creator screen for the first stage. You can create buildings, you can create military vehicles, you can create regular vehicles, like you can create everything in the game. They let you create it right off the bat. But I started creating a regular, just like, I think it's the first stage that you can, your creature creator. That's hard to say. The creature creator. The creation tools are wild. So when you're creating your creature, and if you want to check out the YouTube version, I'll have a example of this up. You can adjust the spine length. You can adjust where the vertebrae are in the spine. And then when you add your arms, legs, eyes, mouths, different, you have different types of weapons. So some of them like shoot poison, or there's different types of feet which have different stats. We'll get on more into that later. But when you put your different arms and legs and other ligaments and things like that in place, you can control their rotation. You can control like where the joints are and how they sit. You can make it's so in depth. It really kind of blows me away. And I don't know, I can't remember if this game was like super popular, if that was what the game was supposed to be. I think so, that was the ambition for the game, is to just be a super open sandboxy survival type game. But for 2008, just the creator tools alone really blew me away. And now here I am starting as a little cell that I've created, and I get the option. Do I want to be a carnivore? Do I want to be an omnivore? Or do I want to be an herbivore? And I was like, definitely going to be a carnivore. So I got this little chomper mouth and these little tentacly movie thingies. And there I am just chomping away at little chunks of meat. And if there's another enemy cell, just goon them. Some cells have little spikes on the side of them. One of the cells that I kept dying to was poison, but I didn't realize it had a poison trail behind it because of how the cell level kind of looks. It looks like you're looking under a magnifying glass, and then as you eat some people and some little meat, I don't even know. They're just little meat orbs, I guess you could call them. Then you grow another stage, you grow a little bit bigger, and it's like you zoom the magnifying glass out just a little bit, or the microscope out just a little bit, and then you just grow bigger with it. And it's kind of cool how those things work. But I went full aggro. I died quite a bit, but still full aggro. And when I got to the creature stage, then I thought maybe I need to be a little bit nicer, and I befriended one other tribe. And I was like, no, this is not the gameplay I came here for. For those of you who, probably a lot of you, haven't played the game, um, the way that you befriend people and the way that you attack people are kind of similar, in the sense of you create your creature with certain, what are the words? What am I thinking of? Like parts. You create your creature with certain creature parts, and those parts, like I said earlier, some of them shoot poison, some of them, like some different feet move faster than others. Some arms reach or can do certain things. And so you either create your creature to be aggressive, or you create it to be a little bit more calm and chill. And so then if you create it calm and chill, it has fun abilities like dance and sing. And if you create your creature to be aggressive like I did, you have fun things like shoot poison and charge and bite. And so that's what I went with. I went with bite and charge and shoot poison. And it's been fun. I befriended one tribe and I decided, no, I don't want to be dancing and singing through this. I want to be attacking. I want to be treating this like a full on RPG, kiting enemies, using my abilities in addition to the movement that I've got. And then later on in the creature stage, that kind of towards the end of what I've gotten to so far, I'm going to be playing this game so much more now. But when I reached the I believe I'm slowly getting to the tribal stage. Once I reach that stage, I've been slowly gathering followers. That's what I meant to say. As I've been slowly growing towards the tribal stage, I've been gathering followers, and now that I have followers, I'm gooning everybody. I have only lost one follower in battle. RIP to my alpha. It was an alpha. Being a tank in there actually saved me. I was on 2 HP. We were very damaged, but we ate the bodies of our enemies, our fallen enemies, and we regained our strength. We went back. There was another alpha ready to go, and we got him in our pack, and we made sure that that other tribe was extinct. They're gone. We were the victors. They ain't coming back. And that's more or less towards the end of my experience. But Rhaiu, I want to hear about yours before we talk a little bit more about the game. Like how far did you get?
Oh man, I'm still in the creature stage. This game.
Okay.
So I was 11 years old when this game came out. So a little story for little Rhaiu. This is back when the internet was in its early stages and online gaming was still new, at least for me at the time. So this game, I bought the disc. Like we're talking about it's available on Steam now, and you could just go and download it. No, I had the hard disc that you have to put in to download the game to run it. That's the type of gaming I did. I would spend hours. Like your fascination with the creation part of it, that's where I lost so much time. Like going in and being able to build all of these creatures from like four-legged creatures to I made at the time there was the show Ben 10, and I was like, you know what would be really cool? Let me make some of the aliens from Ben 10. So I made a forearms character, made a diamond head, all of these different things, and I would like go in and like add to like increase their speed or their strength or whatever it was to make the creatures almost look as close to Ben 10 as I could, even with the different color palettes that you had. And that's another thing. The amount of colors and patterns and everything for a game in 2008, the creature creation is incredible. And if you do have the online connection with it, then you can upload those creations or download other people's creations, and you'll even see them as you're progressing through the world. The things that other people have come up with are insane. Like it's really truly something that if you're in a creative mindset, it's a game for you. And people will appreciate the work that you put into it. The graphics, they're good. I'm glad that it was able to support the 1980 and all that, which was I was a little shocked, to be honest. It's not like this high quality picture perfect thing, but again, it's a game that was in 2008. I mean, this game's almost 20 years old at this point, so it's a fun little. There are some pixelations and everything, but it's still a good game, look wise. The biggest thing for me, and I actually want to before I get into that, the menu that you mentioned, do you know about the Easter egg?
I don't. I guess not. Maybe when you say it, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's right," but not off the top of my head.
So click anywhere other than on a planet and spin your mouse really fast, and it will show you like pictures of the development team and like getting sucked into the galaxy.
Oh, that's cool.
So what you were saying about the time that developers nowadays put on the menu, that's something that I thought that's really cool. It's a nice little hidden Easter egg as a credit from the Maxis people. It was so cool to see it again and just being able to remember it. See, this is that part of gaming that I'm really enjoying, or correction, this is the part of gaming that I do enjoy is having those types of memories that when you go back to those games, it's like, oh, I remember the first time I discovered this or was told about it or whatever. That was something. And there was also, I remember back when you could look up cheat codes for these things because we've all done it. We've all played games that were not technically online and we entered cheat codes. If you ever played Sims, I know you didn't let your sim go to work at a 9 to 5 so you could be able to afford the mansion. We all put in the
Oh,
money code.
I'll take it one step further. They used to sell books of cheat codes at the game store. I'd buy the books again. Like, yo, why not? N64 Ridge Racer? Yeah, give me that special car.
Oh, yeah, it's things like that. So the developers knew at the time that this is something that people are going to do. There is an achievement called cheater as a part of the game. So if you use cheats at any point in time, what it does is you're given the cheater badge and you can't earn any achievements on that save file. So
Oh,
there's a I remember being when I was younger and I was in the space stage. I found the invincibility cheat for my little rocket ship because I wanted to get to the center of the universe. That's the whole point of the story, is to see what's in there. Well, the hard part is it took too long. I was impatient as a kid. How just invincibility, got all the way in there, and I was like, oh, I didn't get an achievement for it. No, there's the cheater. That's why. So now that I'm older, I get to go back and do it again. So I'm excited for that. The big thing for me with Spore, you mentioned it's an open world sandbox kind of survival thing. I like that there's still a story to it, and there's linear progress with this game. So as you're going through the cell stages, or correction, as you're going through the different stages and you're making that progress, you can choose whether or not to advance to that next stage if you want to. If you want to stay and you want to collect everything, then you're more than welcome to do that. And And the reason being that you might want to consider doing it is as you advance your creature, the different perks that become available in these later stages are all going to depend on what you played in your previous stage. So if you're a carnivore like Atrax and I started out as, then you're going to have the carnivore stuff. Once you get to the creature stage, you're going to be very aggressive. You're going to have a little bit more advantages to striking and attacking and all that. But if you choose the omnivore path, then you have a little bit more of a leeway with what it is you're going into. Attacking a little bit. No, now I can have a little bit cheaper, or it's a little bit easier for me to befriend people, but I can still attack if I need to. It's really interesting how much I like this, almost like a Fable esque play style that this game has, because all of your choices previously impact your gameplay in the future, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
It's also like, I would say, not as in-depth story-wise, but the flow chart is a lot like games like Detroit Human or Until Dawn, where some of your choices, maybe it's not directly like, oh, you made this one choice, but like both of us were carnivores. We constantly attack people in the creature stage. When we reach the tribal stage, we now kind of have the reputation of being vicious jerks, and people are less likely to do trade with us and other stuff like that. So it's not like it directly, oh, you killed this one tribe and now everything's messed up. It's like, no, but your general actions, or Mass Effect's another good example. Your general actions will lead you to a certain direction in the way the game plays. And yeah, I love it.
And that's something that I really really like about the game is the fact that I'm aggressive now. I can make the choice in the tribal stage, even though it's going to be a lot harder for me to start befriending people, and especially when you get into the military stage, where you're building you actually have a big town hall, you're having to manage the happiness. So then it almost kind of goes into a resource management game, where I don't know if you ever played Frostpunk, where you
Oh
have
yeah.
to keep your civilization happy, and you can't build like a factory next to the theater because then the happiness goes down, and if your civilization becomes too unhappy, then they can revolt, and you have to deal with a revolution in this town while you're trying to fight this guy over here. There's a lot of in depth when you get into this game, which is really, again, is a lot of fun. It's going to make for a lot of playtime, at least on my part, because I want to experience the different things. They do have DLCs that you can get. The cute and cuddly pack, or I'm sorry, cute and creepy uh, expansion pack adds more parts so you can have different customizations for your characters. And they have galactic adventures, which once your creature reaches that space stage, you've kind of explored the entirety of the space stage. You can advance again. Well, that now you're going to be adding blasters onto your character and jetpacks and all of these other things to continue playing the character that you've played since the cell stage, which is a lot of fun. I decided, you know what I want to do? I want to go with a dragon-like creature. So I've been very, very aggressive. I've found the wings, which if you do put wings on it, you can glide, which is a great way to traverse the planet as it's open world. You can just kind of jump off of stuff and fly, and you'll see a new nest over here or over there. It's really cool. So I've got them nice and gray with some streaky lines. So I'm excited for the tribal stage because what I think I'm going to do is make it to where they're no longer dragons, but they're dragon kind. There's a
Mm.
game called Adventure Quest World. It's an old 2D MMO that they had draconians and they were vertical and they would hold swords and stuff. So what I think I'm going to do is kind of have them stand upright a little bit more, still have the tail and stuff, but make them to where they can be a little bit more efficient with weapons and such. So that's the plan for it. We'll see what happens. I think my attitude and my direction in these types of games changes from time to time. So we'll see what happens.
One of the things that you had said too that is a cool part about the game is there's the different stages of life, and you can, as soon as you get your XP amount, or think it's DNA points in this game. But basically, once you get the requirements, you can move on to the next stage, or you can stay behind. And some might wonder, well, why would you want to stay behind? Wouldn't you want to just go to the next stage? No, because in the world, there are collectible parts. And so you might want to stay behind to get all of them because you didn't get them on the first way through. And then if you didn't have those collectible parts, I mean, well, shoot, you can't do other stuff with it later, and certain things are locked behind it. So that's another kind of cool thing too, is you can just rush through it and you can get through it bare bones. There's no problem with just, doing what you need to. The story does a good job of getting you the base blocks that you need in order to build to the next stage, but it is incredibly beneficial to stay around, to explore a little bit. Oh, what's over here? Oh, look at that. This is a skeleton. What did I just get from this? Some weird googly eye thing that, yeah, it looks kind of weird, but whoa, I can now, like, I have better vision of stuff. I can see this or that. It's cool. There's a lot of cool extra stuff like that where it's not for people who just want to, oh, well, I just want to beat the game. Like, nah, this is for people that want to enjoy their games and just, like you said, Ray, just take it slow. Go, oh, this is cool. Oh, what's over here? Oh, I don't like these people. All right, well, we're going to fight. Oh, I died. I need more parts in order to goon them. What are they weak to? Oh, they're weak to this? All right. Suddenly I've evolved poison spitters on my butt that, you know, my back is incredibly weirdly arched, so my butt is actually facing forward, and I just like shoot poison spit at you out of my butt, and then I slice you with my razor scimitar arms, and you can't do nothing about it because all you can do is sing and dance and all that stuff. I don't know. It's just fun. It's a cool game to run around in and just yeah, just have fun. I'm playing on normal. I know. I think you said you're also playing on normal difficulty. Normal is the way to go because dying isn't like super punishing unless it happens a lot. And every time you die, you can also gives you an opportunity if you want to get new things or change how your creature is. That's another thing is your DNA points. If you sell an item, you can get all of your DNA points back. So then you can put that into something else and slowly adapt your play style. So it's also kind of a adaptive game as well. It's very open. And you mentioned the civilization style, also kind of like Frostpunk. It does have those mechanics, and it is relatively in depth, but it's not as difficult to get into as those other games, at least from my initial experience with it. It is like, oh, well, I have to do this, I have to do that. There's stuff to manage, but it's not so brutal as now, of course, we're playing on normal. You could amp up the difficulty, but it's more beginner friendly. And I would almost recommend Spore as a game for people who want to get into those other civilization type games because it does have that kind of tile style. You need to manage the happiness, you need to manage the towns. And there again, your creator comes into play. You get to customize your buildings, like all the different buildings if you want. You can customize all the different vehicles. Like the customization doesn't just stop with your characters. It continues through all of the stages of life, which is, I think it's just super cool, especially for a game that came out, like Ray said, almost 20 years ago. Man, 16 years old.
Yeah, time flies. Time really does fly with it. And the other point too, which you were mentioning about the civilization stages and everything. If I remember correctly, excuse me, in that civilization stage, there is a point where you have to actually accumulate spice as the resource. And that resource, like you can trade in your civilization stage, not just with the people on your planet when you get to that space stage, that's how you are able to go that kind of purchasing route, where if you don't want to be aggressive, you don't want to befriend everyone, you just want to focus on money and economy, you can buy planets after you have enough spice, and you have trade routes and all of these other things. So it does a really good job of starting you off slow with the trading system. It does a really good job starting you off slow with the combat or the friendly. And that's something I remember about this game, is that it has gradually introduced each new mechanic to you. And once you get to these further and further stages, you're using every single one of those new mechanics that have been introduced to you. It's not all at once from the cell stage, which I really do appreciate, because, like you said, I would highly recommend this for somebody who wants to get into those games but is kind of nervous. They're like, oh, I'm not really sure how to go about doing this or where to start. Start with Spore. It introduces you to a lot of the similar mechanics you're going to experience in that, and just take your time. Enjoy the mechanic. Play it different ways. Like, I know for me, I'm going to go back and make a file for just being passive and only befriending everyone. And then I'll make a file for being more of the business oriented civilization, where I'm just trying to manage trade routes and purchase everything. Hey, you know what? I'm going to make, for that specific playthrough, the Trade Federation. I'm going to find a way to make the Trade Federation and buy everything. So that's what I really love this game now. Gosh, it's been so long since I've played it. So now this is going to be like the one thing that takes me away from the First Descendant. Is going to be Spore, a game that's 16 years old.
16 years old, but still great. And hopefully, if you listened to this episode so far and you've enjoyed our conversation about it, then swoop it up. It's on EA Play as well. So if you don't want to buy it, you can get it. If you subscribe to EA Play, you can play it through there, or on Steam. I'm sure it'll go on sale all the time. I think it's $40 right now for the pack that comes with the game. I only have the base game. I don't have the DLCs, but either way, the game is relatively cheap. And so, that being said, we are going to be moving on to our game of the season. That's right, our first time having a recurring segment. If you joined us for the first 2 episodes, then you're no doubt excited to hear our progress. And if you didn't, that's okay. You don't have to go back and check. We will still explain. First Descendant is a looter shooter. It is made by Nexon Games, and it is our game of the season. We will be featuring it at least 1 episode a month, probably at the beginning of the month, so you'll hear about it from us again in September. But yeah, I mean, Rhaiu, what's your progress been like so far? I love this game, but I can't wait to hear about your position, because you've played way more than I have.
Yeah, I have sunk a lot of hours in this game. I'm currently logged at 128 hours in the First Descendant. So that's a lot. It's a lot of time to play one game that's only been out for about a month. But I've been enjoying it. It has been really a breath of fresh air in the looter shooter space. I used to play Warframe back in the day, and Warframe has just gotten to a point for me that it's been stagnant and is overwhelming with the amount of content that they have. And then I used to play Outriders, which unfortunately has been dying a very slow and painful death. But with the First Descendant, the developers have been very responsive. They've been openly communicating with everyone. They understand that balancing a game like this is going to take a lot of work, and they've been really, again, receptive to the feedback from the community. So we were able, at the beginning of the month, actually, they released it 1 day early, July 31st. They dropped some new content for us. So we got Ultimate Valby, and Ultimate Valby has some new modules. She's actually really cool. If you haven't gotten Valby, I highly recommend going to grab her. She's a lot of fun. She is the water descendant, so she's going to be... I use her more for farming materials and things like that. I don't use her so much for boss fights or anything, but she has specific modules for her. Spiral Tidal Wave and Hydro Pressure Bomb. Instead of the Plop Plop, for regular Valby. That's what it's called, which is interesting. And her amorphous materials where you're able to farm for her, I really like what they're doing with this. They are taking some patterns that are currently in the game and adjusting them. So, just to give you an idea, they have, let's say, about 5 or 10, yeah, 5 to 10 material patterns currently that are going to be removed, and they're incorporating AA variants of those same amorphous materials that are going to be used to acquire the different parts of Ultimate Valby. And those parts are acquired in the same places as the original one. So they're not going to be a different farm or a different missions you have to go to. Same amorphous materials are going to be available in the same exact spots. So that's been a good thing that they aren't incorporating too many changes with that. I'm thankful. Speaking of acquiring those, I've gotten Sharon, Blair, and Valby done, and those guys are currently being leveled. Sharon, I found, is needed for the intercept missions. No, I'm sorry, not intercept. Those are the boss fights. The infiltration missions. Excuse me. The infiltration missions, you need Sharon because she's the only one who can stealth. So to get those additional amorphous patterns that you may need for a weapon, or that you may need for a specific descendant. So I went ahead and got her. That's all I really use her for. She is not going to be a character that I try to min-max or anything. I say that now, but probably in the future, if I need to, I will. She's just not all that fun for me with her kit. A little bit more passive, hit and run type tactics. So, but Blair has been a lot of fun. Big old fireballs. I've got him leveled up, I think, to like 34. So he's almost done. He's a lot of fun. I've seen some Blair players in my runs of some of the missions that they have a lot of damage that they can pump out to the point that things are dying before they spawn. So Blair is definitely somebody I'm going to work on, and getting his weapon. I think it's called Secret Garden. I could be wrong on that, and please correct me if I am wrong in the comments. But I am looking forward to leveling him. I will more than likely min-max him just because he is a fun character that I've been enjoying. Valby, not so much. Again, I'll use her for character or for farming materials and things like that. I've used her a little bit here and there. I haven't been doing too much farming for resources as I have been the amorphouses and the specific weapon drops. I did manage to get Lost Hope fully maxed out, which is great since Freyna has become my main. I know I said in episode 1 or episode 2 of the show that I was going to focus on Viessa, but Freyna has just been a lot of fun to play, and then with her missions being a little bit more prioritized in the Battle Pass, I've been just using her, leveling her, getting her weapons, finding builds that I enjoy for her. So that's been something that has shifted me to start leveling Freyna up. I've used 2 catalysts on her, so slowly getting her build put together. It takes a lot of time, and I'm not really just focusing on solely leveling Freyna. I'm trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone because I'm only Mastery 15. For the current Battle Pass, there is a mission to get to Mastery 20. So I'm trying to get as many different weapons and as many different descendants as I can, just so, excuse me, just so I'm able to continue leveling in my mastery, because there are things locked behind mastery level. So obviously I'll get more inventory space, I'll get more access to weapons and stuff like that, and more than likely in future content updates there will be weapons or possibly descendants that are put behind mastery ranks. So as the quicker I could get up there, the better. But yeah, Freyna has driven me towards Fallen Hope to get that maxed out. I do need to get the Python weapon, so that way I can take advantage of the weaknesses that weapon applies to enemies, specifically their resistance to toxins. So that's something I need to make sure I get, because the Python is actually one of the main weapons that's used for boss killing with Freyna. There's a lot of people that will say, oh, use the Tamer instead. I get it. I have the tamer maxed out. I don't have it min maxed with any catalysts or anything, but I wanted to get the Fallen Hope just for the wave clearing. That extra poison burst whenever I'm attacking somebody that is poisoned is super beneficial. It does so much damage, especially on the survival. Whenever you do those special missions and you're doing the survivals, that poison spread on top of your poison spread, it just makes wave clearing so much easier, and then you can really kind of manage the resources. But yeah, Freyne has been my main for so long, and as I mentioned, with the battle pass kind of gearing towards her and using her abilities and things like that. I did finish the battle pass, so that's done. I think we still have a month left of it. I don't really see a reason to go for the stuff that's in the battle supply shop or the bonus shop. There's some cosmetics and a couple of things that you can get through research, but I don't really see a need for me to go and get it. But again, I'm a completionist when it comes to games like this, so I'm going to try and complete those missions, complete the season missions, just so I can say that I did it. Some of them are a little bit poorly timed. The Thunder Cage one in particular, I think it's in week 4, that says you need to kill 5,000 enemies with the Thunder Cage. I really feel like if that was a week 1 thing, a lot of people would have done it, but now it's like we are well past the Thunder Cage being the first ultimate weapon people have. It's a great gun for wave clearing, but I don't see the need to reinvest people's interest in the Thunder Cage, but that's just me. So you've listened to me ramble for a little bit, Atrax. What have you been experiencing the last month?
I play this game like a casual. All right. So I put like 30 hours into the launch week, something like that. And now here we are a month after launch, just about. As of day of recording, we're a month and 2 days after launch. And I have 62 hours. So I've only doubled my time in a month, which, considering I did put a lot on launch week, makes sense. But even so, I've played roughly 10 hours a week, give or take. And Mastery level 14, Battle Pass 63, just to give the raw stats. 5 Descendants unlocked, Freyna level 38 with 1 Catalyst, Valby level 20, Viessa, Sharon, and Bunny are all at level 40. So I've done some leveling, I've done a little bit of grinding, but mostly my experience has just been do some of the Battle Pass stuff, hop in, do some waves, or do some Void Intercept battles, farm just a few materials for the stuff that I want to do, like the Void Intercept battles, because, I mean, yeah, Void Intercept battles are fun, but they're not nearly as fun if you don't have any amorphous materials to redeem. So that's been kind of my back and forth, farm amorphous materials, then go do Void Intercept battles, farm amorphous materials, go do intercept battles, all of that stuff. So I'm excited with the changes. To me, I don't think it will affect my play too much. I'm not super like, oh man, I really need ultimate this, I really need ultimate that. I'm just enjoying what I can. I still haven't finished the story. Believe it or not, I haven't finished the story whatsoever. I'm just chilling. Like I said, waves and yeah, like just back and forth. But I'm enjoying it. Like I don't know what it is. That's just what I play the game for. I really do need to finish the story. Maybe it's just the story missions have been too difficult or something. I don't know. But I don't think they've been that difficult. But like Freyna, because she's my main, then I got the catalyst and it was down to level 1. I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do the story missions. I'll just do my waves. And then I did waves for, I don't know, a week. And I enjoyed that. And then I'm like, well, I got all these amorphous materials from waves. So now I'm just going to spam void intercepts. And that was it. Like, just back and forth. Only recently in the last week have I made a direct effort to acquire Fallen Hope. It's a relatively easy one. I do have it, but I don't like the mission where you bring the data to the circle. It's like kind of an arena style, and enemies spawn in, and you kill the enemies, and then you go and you grab the material, you grab the data that they drop. You have to pick it up, and then you go to the little circle in the middle and you deposit it. It's a really simple thing, but like, it's so not fun. It's just so, it's really just so not fun. I'll include some footage of it in the YouTube version, but to me, it's just that is the least fun type of mission that they have. I would so much rather do any of the other ones, even the escort mission, than that one. I hate that mission so much.
I'm gonna jump in on that one. I will never, ever farm a descendant a weapon again with an escort mission requirement. I absolutely hated the fact that I had to do that for Freyna, and I will never do it again. I the one you're talking about, I threw on Bunny and just ran around, and life was fine. It was tedious, but it is nothing compared to that escort mission.
I've heard though that you can apparently do the escort missions with Sharon and get them done faster.
I don't know
I've
how, since
I've
you
heard
have
I've
to
heard that.
stay on it and let it put.
Well,
Glay, I
no,
can understand.
because I think you maybe it is Glay, but I thought it was Sharon because it was something with her invis, and then you could like survey while she's invisible or something like that. Now I'm
See, because I'm thinking of the escort mission where you have to take the little drone and you walk it through the map and you stop at a point. That mission requires you to have shields to feed the drone to get it to move. Which is why I think Galay is
oh
interesting, because
maybe it's
Galay
Glay.
doesn't have shields. So I don't know how that works, but I think it's like a weird little glitch in the matrix where if you're Glay, you're in the circle, you're technically giving it shield, but you're not. That's the mission I'm talking about.
I'm not sure. Either way, I think there's a way to speed it up, hopefully. If not, then okay, maybe I was too extreme in the escort mission. But I really don't like that's the level of dislike that I have for the that just run around, collect the data, and like it's just like no, I don't want to run around and collect the stuff. Just let me goon the enemies. I'll stand in the circle. It's cool. It's whatever, but yeah, I don't know. It's just really not fun for me. But either way, I've just been enjoying that kind of chill gameplay loop. I was watching YouTube and a short popped up of what is his name? Pirate Software's Thor. And it was a funny short. Basically, he was saying, yeah, First Descendant is pay to lose because if you're buying stuff like the Descendants, that's the content. So really, you're just paying to lose out on the game, and like it's PvE, it's not even PvP. So you're just paying to like lose out on playing the game. That the purpose of the game is to farm the missions, to get the materials, to like that. That's the game. So I've spent some money on Caliber, but I've still only bought. Okay, actually, that's not true. I did spend some Caliber on the Dino pajamas for Bunny, just because I had to spend a lot of time sprinting around as Bunny, and I would rather stare at the pajamas. But that's me. Blue pajamas looks good, all that good stuff. I also thought some of the game updates were pretty interesting as well, especially what they said about the drop rate improvement. Basically, and I like the like paragraph that they said there was while all of our drop rate systems are operating fairly in the First Descendant, we do understand that some players are struggling with the I'm assuming this word is vagaries of drop rate. To address this, we're planning to introduce a new system where you can more easily get the item you want after repeating the activity a certain number of times. I really wish, and I'm sure Rhaiu, you wish we had this when we went through the Freyna grind, but I really wish we had this when we did the Thunder Cage grind, because I have like 7 of one of the things, and it's like I would have easily, as soon as I got my 4, just wanted other stuff. I don't know exactly how they'll incorporate this, but I
Well,
like it.
and I read something, I can't remember where I read this. It might have been on Reddit or it might have been in their Discord, where they are planning on introducing some type of either a limited shop or a permanent shop somewhere in Albion where you can exchange materials that you no longer want for materials you do want. So it might be like a rotating shop, kind of like
Mm,
if you ever played Star Wars: The Old Republic, Kai Zyken, who has a rotating every week. It's a different, maybe it's a different amorphous, maybe it's a specific piece. Maybe you have to get so many pieces of Valby, for example, and you can get Ultimate Valby, and you could trade those resources in and do it that kind of way. I hope they do something like that because I think that's a really cool way to incorporate having someone go out and grind for something that they actually want. They get a bunch of stuff they don't want, and then now it's just taking up a spot in their inventory. Because I think like inventory management is going to start to become a thing as we get later and later in this game, where you might need that extra slot that your 47 Freyna pieces are currently holding on to. So I hope that they do that.
yeah, I hope so too. Either way, it's nice that they're clearly addressing it and they're saying everything's operating normal, but people are kind of upset about it. So we're going to try something new because clearly y'all are complaining. And we are. So thanks for listening. Because I don't know. That was just my take on like that whole paragraph that they mentioned because it's just I like it. I like that they're like, yeah, it's operating. The drop rates are good, but we're still trying to improve it because clearly people are upset. But I also wonder too is if they improve it, then will there technically be quote unquote less content? Like obviously the play hours will go down, but how much will they go down? Will it just be half or will it be more than that? I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. But either way, I
Well,
think I like a lot of the game updates. And if there's a lot of game updates that we didn't really talk about here too that like there's pages and pages and pages of it. One other
oh
thing I
yeah.
will say too really quick before the episode ends is that there's because we're reaching our hour, there's this idea that like, oh, this game is dead, blah 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 blah. Literally within the month, they released a new character, a new ultimate version, a new void intercept battle, and a new ultimate weapon. Like that's a lot of stuff a month after the game comes out. And I've played it for 60 hours. I haven't even beat the story. Rayu's played it for how many hours have you played Rayu? I don't know, like
Oh, like I said, 128.
there it is, 128, right. So that's a lot. That's if you think about it, that's a lot of hours for a free to play game. Now, granted, we bought the battle pass and we have spent money, but even so, I'm I've already gotten an entertainment value of less than $1 per hour to play this game. And I haven't even spent all of my caliber. I've spent less than half. So you could argue that I've spent maybe 25 bucks instead of the 50 for the caliber. And I don't know what that percentage is. That's less than 50 cents, that's for sure, per hour to play the game. That's sick. That's dope. And now they've just released more content. And it's not just early content, it's a hard mode void intercept battle. And you need to do that void intercept battle in order to get the Peacemaker, which is the new ultimate weapon. So I think that's also pretty sweet too. I don't know of many games that release content that quickly. And they've already said in the patch notes that they're prepared and they're adjusting stuff in season 1 and season 2. So they very clearly have this well thought out and well planned out, at least for the first couple of seasons. Now we're here in season 0 of TFD, but we're in season 1 of Game of the Season. So it'll be kind of cool to see as we have different seasons, different games of the season, how this game more or less stays the same or changes. And I'm excited to see too what they have in store for the future. I mean, 2 seasons already. That's pretty sweet. I hope they don't just mean Battle Pass seasons. But even so, if they do and they release a new ultimate weapon in the Battle Pass, I'd be cool with that. I do have to say though, is there a way to earn Sigvor's proof outside of the Battle Pass as of right now? Do you know? Right? No?
No, as of right now, the only way you can get Sigvor's proof is through the battle pass.
Okay, so in some ways you could argue that makes it pay to win. I
Well,
don't think so because I don't think the rocket launcher is that great, and it's also a PvE game, but I think it's good. It's just not amazing.
the only thing I will say is that specifically with the addition of Luna and how they adjusted the amorphous materials to drop her pieces, I think that's what they will do is make it to where you can eventually craft Sigvor as a farmable item. So they're probably going to do that to where you can get it the easy way with the battle pass, or if you wait until after the battle pass season ends, you could go farm wherever and you could get the pieces and research it and do it that way. I think that's what they're going to do more because it is an ultimate weapon. It is on the research tree. I'm sorry. They can add it to the research tree very easily, and it's in the collection journal as one of the heavy weapons. So I don't think they're going to lock that behind a paywall.
I would hope not. And that also means that they would retire. If they did, it would be retired after the season is over, and then you couldn't get it anymore, which would also be interesting. I have incredibly mixed feelings about that in particular. Obviously, we haven't reached that yet, but if that is the case, I would say mostly negative feelings about it. There are some positives, but that's FOMO to the max and also pay to win, you could argue. But we're not there yet. We're still here in season 0, and it's been a good one. Thank you so much for listening. If you've made it to the end of the episode, we had a very sporing episode. That's right. I'm repeating the same dad joke at the beginning and at the end of the show. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed Spore. If you haven't heard about it before, maybe you're interested in it now, throw it on your wish list. Check it out. We highly recommend it. It is a great game, really for all ages too. It's a ton of fun. It's probably on sale pretty much every Steam sale, I would imagine, probably even more often than that, just because it's such an old game. Or you can play it for free on EA Play if you want, if you're subscribed to that. And check out what we were ranting and raving about, because yeah, it's a lot of fun. And our game of the season. If you didn't hear the first 2 episodes, hopefully this got you excited to hear about the First Descendant. We again will be talking about it in September at some point, probably the first episode of the month. Not entirely sure yet, but we will be talking about it. We still have 2 more months of game of the season for this one before we switch to a new one. Hopefully you're excited about it. It's free to play. Join us. We would love to have you. Tweet at us on X at Variety Games Pod. We'd love to hear about your TFD progress, or if you decided to check out Spore. You can also let us know in the Spotify and YouTube comments. We are also now on Apple. We got our lazy butts in gear. Apple is available too. Have a great rest of your day.